My name's Jim Knight, and I started out as an English teacher working in community college. I was hired, and I thought I was going to teach Shakespeare or the modern novel, and I worked with kids who were really struggling. Many of them had learning disabilities. Some had undiagnosed learning disabilities, but they were really, really struggling. They were literally the worst, in terms of achievement, the worst achieving students in the whole system. And I didn't know what to do, but I used some strategies that were developed at the University of Kansas, and all the kids stayed in the program. 5 of them graduated to the next level. They wrote a letter to the president to save the course, and I got a full-time job. So I became a trainer. I started to do workshops on those strategies called the Strategic Instruction Model, and it worked like a charm. And I became a trainer. I started to do training around Canada. I did it in Toronto. And after 2 years, I realized that nobody had done anything that I had trained. Because I asked people to mail me postcards. I'd lick the stamps, give them postcards, and said, send me a postcard describing how well this worked. And after 2 years, I didn't get a single postcard back. So I became consumed with the issue of, well, what's it take to get implementation? At that time, Michael Fullen was at the University of Toronto, and he was a mentor and continues to be a generous supporter of my intellectual growth. And I worked with him, and I started to study what's it take to get proven practices used effectively in the hands of teachers. So after my work sharing ideas with teachers and trying to get them in the hands of teachers, we realized we needed to provide pretty intensive support for teachers to implement practices. We did it for research projects, and I thought, well, why don't we do it for teachers all the time? And we created this position called an instructional collaborator. I was a learning consultant, and eventually we landed on the term instructional coach. And after working with instructional coaching, which continues to be my probably primary focus, and I'm working on a new book on that now, we realized the system has to support the coach. The coach by herself or by himself isn't going to thrive, and so we need to bring the whole system kind of in alignment around goals. And I became pretty consumed with what's it take to get a whole system to work together to implement the support. That's the Unmistakable Impact book. And then we said, okay, well, if we've got coaching and we've got a system aligned, what are the teaching practices to take you from here to there? You get a clear picture of reality and you set a goal. And I said, well, what's that going to be? And we came up with, after 10 years of messing around with different teaching practices and getting lots of feedback from coaches and teachers, we came up with high impact instruction, which is those teaching practices. And then we realized, and really the work has been about solving a problem. What's it take to get better teaching for students so students can achieve better? And we realized that most professionals, not just teachers, but most professionals don't realize what it looks like until they see it for themselves. So that became the focus on video, and that's the most recent book, Focus on Teaching, is about how teachers or coaches or teams or principals can make video a part of their professional practice. What I think motivates me is that I've seen, like probably anybody who watches this video, I've seen that it's possible to help students who didn't think they could succeed to succeed. I've seen kids who are on the verge of giving up, not give up, and move on. And there are millions of kids right now ready to give up. And so what motivates me is, let's help as many as we can, as much as we can. I think coaching is a huge way for educators to make a big difference in what happens in the classroom, to really make a difference in the world. And so I'm motivated by, let's help students become literate, become empowered, become independent learners, become successful, to live fulfilled lives. That's what motivates me.